What's the difference between not panicking and holding and cashing out your percentage while you have it?
If you are slow trading, you don't care about these retracements. You're not selling out. You know they're going to happen. We talk about they're healthy. Right? But also, like we talked about, that should be a big part of your budget. If you want to learn how to get in and out of these retracements and start stacking those percentages, yeah, you left your percentages on the table. You take them, you wait for the pullback, and you buy again in the pullback. And that's why compounding percentages makes you that much more. It was a tweet from ZSS Becker, if you know him, and he said, if you don't think the altcoin market can pull back at something like 40 to some odd percent, I don't know why that video didn't finish, between 40 to 60 some odd percent at any time in crypto, oh boy, you don't know crypto. And I brought that up a few times, and that tweet from him was a few weeks ago. And we've been analyzing the market quite a bit together. And we've talked about how we are at all-time highs with things, that the money flow cycle, what we cover every day, typically at 7 o'clock. Sorry, I couldn't make it earlier. And talk about how important it is to understand and watch and see what's happening. And if you're in the market right now and you didn't get your stop loss out or anything like that, you're obviously down. We all are. I got stop lossed out on a couple of things, but for the most part, I'm actually still in on that. And yeah, down a bit. Am I panicking? Is the sky falling? Nope. Does it suck? Yeah, absolutely. Anytime we lose some numbers, it's never the most fun, let's be honest. But this is where we have to look at our emotions in check. And we want to look at our data and what is the data saying, and making sure that we're going to start making smart decisions when these things happen. When we look on the daily, we've been in critical for a while, and we always say healthy retracements, pullbacks. Well, we've had now a couple of good days of pullbacks, and it was a lot of money. Oops, sorry. But we can see we've already also are showing strength, and it's coming back in. I've said many times the 2.5 is our most important line. That high 249's 2.5. If we break this level here with our total market cap, that's personally when I hit my panic button. That's when I see more of this kind of a curl. When we take away our drawings, we got curl. We know typically we get 3 down patterns in a row. We know money is coming back and in, back at crazy rates. But on the 4-hour, we've been constantly on this upward motion, minus the Bitcoin all-time high, which we talked about. Healthy retracements. This is very interesting. This here, I believe, is panic. And when I'm looking at, I'm going to cluster it. I'll do it with those. We can see lots of resistance in here. Right. We're creating support here. We've created support here at the same line. We've pulled down all the way to here with these wicks. Now the big question is, do we chill? Do we take that big, deep breath and relax and breathe a bit? Sorry, just fixing a few things here too. So ideally, we want to see this to be a very short belly. We talk a lot about how these lines spread. We don't want to see the line spread here. We want them to stay narrow, and we want them just to have little belly, a little one. Couple of days of retracement, healthy, normal for this market. It was a ton of cash. And we talk about how fast it happens and how fast the markets react to it. It's $234 billion in less than a day. Gross. What was this one again? From its high wick to its low, 371. Let's keep some perspective here. But keep an eye on this, because we know now micro bear is coming. That's why we have this tool. That's why it's called micro bear, micro bull. So we want to see this curl. And we knew this was coming. We just didn't know when. We've talked about it a lot. And how your strategies for where you should be at are going to enable you not to freak out at these moments. And that's why we started with a little bit of those shorts to remind you, hey, it's normal. Sky's not falling. You know, the money in the market did. Is it over? Nah. Am I watching closely? Very. Because we need to hold this 2.5 that I've been talking about. In here, we're in a good situation with our stochastic. It's showing us that things are going to turn. Bollinger is showing us that things want to turn. If we zoom in, we can see that we are holding. A little bounce up in here to be expected. So I'm not, I'm never happy when these things happen. But we know they're going to happen. And it makes sense to the channel if we just kind of look at it. I know as soon as I throw, all this comes back. And yes, I will watch them on the 5 minutes to see what's happening, because it'll tell you if you're looking at getting in and getting out. But let's look at it on the 4 hour, where we just were. So we don't have to lose our markups. And you can kind of see why I'm not in a panic. I'm not happy, but I'm not panicking. This guy's not falling. Chicken Little is definitely here. I'm normally a lot happier in these situations. Why would I be happy in these situations? Because these are great entries. If you've been on the sidelines waiting, this is what you've been waiting for. One of the art of trading, in my opinion, is stop losses. I hate getting wicked out. And I hate getting to a situation where right now, if I did put a higher stop loss in, I'd be buying better bottoms, basically. And that's the game of trading. You know, we're not all perfect by any means. So I'm just kind of picking right now a random where I can see some shifts have been made in different time frames, but I kind of like the further you can always go back to a low, the stronger. And we can start to see just even on quick and dirty, we're still in this channel. We're holding this area now. And if you're here tuning in, again, I can't see you. Appreciate being here. Thanks for understanding. I'm going to be a little later today. And I'm just going to kind of go into what I've seen so people can kind of just breathe easier in moments like this. This is a potential possibility. And same down in here. I don't think we're in those kind of flush outs quite yet, but it's very possible because that was an all-time high. But we said, we talked about that. It was a boss move. Somebody had that be token for eons. We've been holding this line lately, but coming back to it and contesting it. This is on the 4-hour. For Confluence, we're seeing where we were talking about how we got our cross before. So this is why I start really to watch the indicators to figure out, because we know these come. There's always going to be little micro bears and little micro bulls. They're healthy. It's what we want. What we want, if we're in position, is we want this to be shallow. And we want to go back up and get back on this path up here we have been on, which I think we will be. This will also help cool some of the greed, which is nice to do. So there's different ways to look at these situations when they happen. And this is what we're hoping for. And we want to kind of be in, we'll go to those wicks there, but we kind of want to be in this side, this area of the box, not here. I really don't like being under 2.5. We got a lot of support at it. I think they missed here. And they figured, hey, we can pull more here and get more. Heat maps is something in the Discord that Supreme has been sharing and showing where all these liquidity things are at. And I it's one of those things for me, when somebody walks me through it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. I see it. But unless I have that person there doing that when I'm there, I still get a little lost personally in those. I've said it a lot. I don't know everything. I'm sharing with you with how I'm trading, what I'm seeing, not financial advice, of course, and sharing how my tools work and how to look at them and not get caught up in all these emotional things of this part of the game. But it's hard not to when there's money involved. Let's be honest. So just marking it. So when we're looking, we can see those critical areas, because our show one has had what we've been saying with the everything going on. It'll be neat to see how this recovers, how we've talked about it as we've gone. And a lot of the stuff we've been talking about has been hitting, has been banging. It's the curveballs, the black swans, the Elon tweets, the China tweets that throw this. And then the other thing we have here is we're in uncharted territory now with Bitcoin, not only in all-time highs aspect, but with ETFs and public retail completely thinking everything's out to lunch and commercial being it. If we would have said this 2 years ago, that this is how this bull would be playing out, it would nobody would believe it. So DOM is dropping, and we say we want DOM to drop. We say we want DOM to drop when the total market cap stays the same or increases, because that indicates an alt run. Well, what didn't happen here is we didn't have the total market cap stay the same. We had it plummet. So, of course, the dominance is going to go down because there's less money in the entire market. So, if there's less money, there's less dominance. So, just because dominance is red doesn't mean it's a good thing. It's really watching what's happening, because sometimes when it's green, it's also good because so much money is flowing in. And just small pieces, small little tiny slivers of these percentages is end up what trickles down into alts. We're still so early in the aspect of when we start seeing much higher total market caps with these swings. I have no idea what that's going to look like with alts. We're in so much uncharted territory in that regard. And that's why, for me, I think it's important to look at the data, because it's easy to get caught up in the echo chambers. It's easy to get caught up in a lot of that stuff. Crypto Katie just made it here. I'm going to add her for commentary now that I can see that. She's here, mic off, camera up. I'm just going to put that back in. Feel free to jump in anytime.
Yeah. Hey guys. Hey everybody.
We made it. We made
We're
it. Everybody
here.
like, what happened? I'm like, we're just coming later. It's all good.
Just life stuff getting in the way. Hey guys. Yeah, I'm just getting situated here because I came in a little late, and so give me a sec and I'll probably pipe in a minute. Do you mind?
Not at all. But knock on the door at any time.
Thanks, man.
We just went over the market cap. Obviously, dominance. I think you were here for that one. And then now Bitcoin. And this one, I think we'll go over to a fresh sheet because it has been playing out. Nah. Don't marry your TA, as I say. When it changes, change it up. So the event, the pullback, finally happened. What does all this mean with everything going on? Well, we can see how price is affected when you pull a fuck ton of money out of the market. Oh, getting some weird laggy here. Am I on 4 hour? All right, cool. It just feels like it's different green. No worries. So clearly this 73,349 quick and dirty is our resistance. Let's take off our indicators. It's not as scary when you do this, I find. Does it? Oh, that was weird. If I get really choppy, Kate, can you let me know? I'm gonna hold on. Quick Discord. That might
I
be
mean,
easy.
it seemed, fine to me, so
It's just
if it gets weird, Supreme, let us know.
uh, oh, it's approved here. Nice.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So back to the 4 hour on where we're at, just on looking at price action now. So we've whipped down to this area here at 66, 967 a few times. We know we saw the cross. We could be contesting easily this bottom area here, this 65.5. That is a reality. Here is a reality. Low 60s. We know Bitcoin can drop 10K in a day. Just because it does it, is it over? No. No. Does it suck at the moment if you're all in trades and you're down the how many percent? Why is it doing that? It's so weird. Try a new one. Oh, I know why. Nope, that's not it.
Do you need to zoom in on those candles because the scaling is off when you're making it big and small?
My mouse is like jumping on my end from top to bottom above the rectangle.
Bummer.
It'll be like up here, down here. So I don't know if you actually see that. It's like a weird lag, but I think it's under control now. I shut a few things off and then I just got rid of that crappy mouse pad.
You're doing great.
Yeah, perfect. I look at it as it has key areas to hold. And if it doesn't hold them, it's going to, that's why. It's going to break them. And those are our support and resistance, and why we do zoom in on these levels. It can't always be up. But what we have noticed is when mass amounts of liquidity leave the market, it comes back rather quickly. And we continue back on this trend. Bear with me here. Sorry. There's a few different ways we can look at charting what's going on here. So I'm just trying to sort a couple possibilities out in my mind. And I'm on the daily, yeah. Ooh, and I'm on lock. I always say one day I'll remember. I mean, what a channel. And then on this one, I'm going to be dropping a few things here because it is comes right back down to there at 63.7.
So can you, unless you need to focus for a second, can you walk me through like exactly what you're doing right now when you're adjusting things? Like,
Um,
what are you thinking about while you're adjusting that so much more specifically?
just trying to fine tune it a little better. When I say always quick and dirty, now this is an area of importance and things going on for a lot of people in the market. And how big of a pullback is this? So I just don't want to be as quick and dirty, but I've got our recent low where we've changed January, right? I mean, recent. People say here we've been in a bull run. I beg to differ. Now, so this is the long path that we've been on since I won't beat that dead horse, but you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
it's coming now. You can see from the long path to our just this year that it's interesting that they have met at this point. Was that really 2 years ago? Because it was right around there, just before. Yeah, there. It makes sense to me that this is holding and that we should start to go along again. How much more of a pullback? Will it pull back down to these lines? Possible. Absolutely. We've talked about that. Sorry, it is a little weird. For Confluence, on the daily, we're at that last spot of where I don't like if the micro bull. It's curling. Does it steady? Does it start to steady and then go? Or does it come? That's right now my opinion on the daily where we're at. Seems somewhat reasonable that it would like to hold this area.
Yeah, that
Critical
makes
fired.
sense.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying that makes sense.
It fired here. We still don't have the dot over here. This is just, we don't have a candle without any critical anything in a few days. Everything is saying volatile except for here and here. Volatile, 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 volatile. Ooh, this makes sense. This isn't overly bad, except if you're in it or in alts, because a 10% dip in Bitcoin is a lot bigger in alts. And that's why I always say it's really important to watch the money flow and all of this, if you're trading alts, and especially like alts, like small alts, micros and stuff. So we never want to ignore what our indicators are saying. The whole reason they're there. The data is going to be right a lot more times than emotion. So we are looking for this when we say we don't want the curls, or we want the curls. We don't want the spreads. Because if this spreads and gains that distance between them, just like here,
It's going.
it's going exactly.
Yeah.
So if it starts to spread this way, our target next is here. That's our next target.
Mm-hmm.
It already made it halfway there.
Yep.
Right. I'm thinking lots of strength here on that 4 hour. Lots of pressure. Lots of strength. Ooh. It's matching what the dollars are doing. So right now, all of this makes sense. But I'm watching this on these. And you can see we broke that trend. Now this trend is going to be resistance.
The white line down there, you said?
This
That
gold one in
the
here,
gold one's gonna be resistance.
right? Because
Got
this
it.
is the 4 hour or the daily trend that this has been walking up, right? So we broke it here, held it here with candle bodies, broke it with wick, full on went, fuck you, we broke it here. And it wanted to give us a micro bull here. We have the belly here. That's why we say it's never perfect. And we're playing statistical odds with these theories when I say I like to buy bellies. I know if this doesn't cross, I'm now dollar cost entering, even though this is market cap. If this was a token, I've got 1, 2, 3 entries. That's why we always use multiple indicators together. And on our money flow or market cap, we're having entries on other indicators. We're having bellies of curls on smaller time frames now, which is healthy step back. And on this smaller time frame, ugh, you know, 1, 2. Look at where that third touch might be.
Yep.
So
I think I said it to you ages ago. I'm having a really hard time because it's like we're all trying to, I'm gonna use the term predict loosely. We're all trying to predict us going up all the time, but I said I don't know how to predict the the goings down, and but this answers that question for me.
cool.
Because then I'm like, I don't predict the downs. I prepare for them because it doesn't look like it's going up.
Right.
Got it. Thank
And
you.
this and that is always going to help you. Now, how long it's going to be depends on the spread.
Sure.
Right? Like, remember
You just kind of
right?
stay on that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? Every day for the first 4.5 weeks, I think I came on and said, shut the fuck out of it. You know, now this is a nightmare.
Oh, good. Moving on to a nightmare.
I just meant more in terms of TA because I was marking up various things.
Oh, I know. I can see it. I love it.
Yeah. And I think we talked about we talked about this yesterday, mostly on the 4 hour. And we've been calling ETH from the beginning of our show. And I know it's 4 hours because of these greens. And even though when we zoom out, we can see it didn't break. We know the compression in the triangles leads to a breakout at that point. We just don't know if it's up or down. Well, confirmed. It either consolidates, goes up, or goes down. Well, no big surprise that we've had a pullback. And look where it held. Came down all the way to here, which was this consolidation box. And then now it's above this daily support. And it's probably going to fight in here now. And same thing on Bitcoin, because it's his little brother, is we're at that curl.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So if this starts to curl, then we are coming down to these prices. But here's showing strength in this area. So most likely, if we don't see more liquidity pull or leave the market, most likely what's going to happen with our indicator is it's just going to get a little bit smaller, and then it's hopefully going to spread again.
Mm-hmm.
These are the options, and ETH hasn't had these little of the indicators where it gets tight and then spreads and then gets tight like Bitcoin has. Right? This looks like coming. This for sure looks like micro bears coming. Just fakes you out, comes
Mm-hmm.
back, we're off again. This
Yeah,
ain't
some of the angles are pretty jolty.
right. And that to me is where I always like to get out. When I'm seeing these angles on either end, I'm looking for exit and entries. Bollinger's been saying exit for a long time. Market's been overheated. Now let's see if it chills. It would be really nice to see. So ETH, back to ETH. And I know I'm taking a little more time because I want to spend time for those that want to understand
This is great. Keep
on
going.
red days, because more people feel gross on red days. For me, full docket truth, it was a 5-figure loss today. You know, it was and those days suck. We've had breakfast where I said I lost a car. But when we made these rectangles, these were all on different time frames at the time. I don't think we had everything done because we have left a lot of this TA on for a while. Let's head over here. And let's do I'm going to remark ETH. Let's do ETH from scratch. I've been watching render closely is what all this is, but
Supreme says, yep, 5-finger lost days, LOL.
right. But you can't celebrate the wins of those days without understanding those days losses are coming. And they come. And man, they suck.
Sounds like you guys are saying prepare yourselves. It's gonna happen. So
It
just
is.
do it right.
And it's like I said, I was so close to some stop losses where for me today, I would have rather got wicked out stop lossed out a little earlier, and I could have taken advantage of some of these entries. So even I'm still learning where that stop loss should be because I didn't want this much of a loss in a day. Who does, right? It's like, duh. But it,
But you do say, you see that red, and what goes through your mind is, oh, great, something's more affordable now. Now I can
these are those, and we're going to get into our regular picks that we've been looking at normally. And I know we're at that 40-minute mark. Like I said, I don't mind if we run a little over today. So just looking at Ethereum on the 4 hour, I'm going to see if I can get a nice parallel channel in here too. Oh, that might help.
TA can wake me up or put me to sleep, and I love both of them. Like, it can really jazz me up,
I
and then
the
I could watch you do it, and it's like, meditation.
it, it's like the fireplace channel, right?
Mhm.
So, and like fairly quick and dirty, we hit it there. We came down close here without looking at where we are, micro bear, micro bull. Even though we've had some pullback, I would have a sting bid maybe here without looking at the indicators, because it would make sense with that resistance there, or it's just holding. For confluence on the 4, oh, that's interesting. So this is movement direction, saying it's going to has a 70% chance or better after this candle closes of getting down to this line. It does from here to here. I'll go into this more in theory. It does not mean it's not going to continue to go down unless or more. It's really good to zoom in on the tool. It's more for the smaller percentages. Really good in Forex.
I think you and I did a little private kind of, like, lesson for a couple of hours on that, but I don't think we've ever talked on here about it.
We did it on the show a couple of quick and dirty times, but yeah, like
Mm.
full out, like what we've done with the lesson. No, maybe we'll do that one night just as a break.
Mhm.
Go over some use of indicators, fibs, and things like that. Whoop. That's what I would like to see. And obviously, it looks like this is going to be where it's going to have some point of contention. This is where we're probably going to see a little resistance in this next candle. 15 minutes. If we're still on the show, let's pop back, remind me, and we'll check to see, did we break it? Did we go through it? Are we fighting along it? Or did we actually pull down? When we start to zoom in, I'm seeing spread. I'm seeing width. I am seeing an entry. I am seeing an entry, support, resistance. Interesting. It's coming to it right as we talk. Oops. Stochastic is saying we're coming into as well. Another buy position. Remember, not all indicators are perfect. We got a buy position right here. Same with Bollinger. All right. Even started to get a little belly here. If you were watching the total market cap, you would know that probably a good chance we're still going down because money has been leaving. We've been in red candles. Now we're looking at demand in this area. Amir in our Discord talks a lot about demand zones. and support. And on the slower trading, the demand zones are amazing because they'll do that short-term support and resistance. So if you're playing those little swings, they're great.
Like where that fake belly is on that last screen you were just on. Where that little fake belly is, like you said, yeah, it went up and then dropped down. There's some percentages in there though, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah, and this is what actually, let's use this one.
Is that what the game is?
Well, for some, remember,
Yeah.
1% a day, that's 3.5% in 5 hours.
Mhm.
Huge money.
Yeah, this is starting to make sense about how the downs can work for you and where in even if the market's going down, where you can find them. That makes a lot of sense.
And remember channels within channels, consolidation,
Mhm.
consolidation,
Mhm.
right? Look
I
at
do that. I do that a lot and I love it.
that. And gone,
Mhm.
right? This here did not retest. You know, you can keep going through. Oh, that one actually looked like it did retest on the 4 or on the ones, I should say. But doing these on the ones a little trickier, right? The more you zoom in, the weaker it does kind of get. And that's why we say when you zoom out, when in doubt, zoom out, because a weekly support line is far stronger than a daily support line, and vice versa. So when we start doing TA on small time frames, that's why I hate people when they do TA on shit coins, when one thing can move a whole market. But you can start to see these patterns and these trends from going into the different time areas. Ooh, did not want to do that. So not doom and gloom, but caution on a lot of these at the moment. And I think you're in okay hands to be no need to panic quite yet. It's there are zones where we're getting close to on the dailies and we're starting to see on the shorter time frames the recovery from something like this. So again, it's that talk we have where we're going into, when we look at each one of these things and what's been happening, what makes sense, what's rational, where is it looking like it's going to hold on that daily. Like, we didn't add anything to this TA today, and it held that 37.25.78 line. And now we look at this plausibility. Why is this now going to be rejection or resistance when we get up to there? Because it was support and resistance here. And just like Crypto Katie just said, if you did a nice entry there and you get up to that resistance, there's 8%. Why wouldn't you get out? That's what swing traders are doing. That's why the first short we started with in the clip of this video was, if you're in this for the long game, today didn't matter. Yesterday didn't matter. You don't even, these are blips in the long game. This is to be expected. What we're talking about here is, I know a lot of people are swing traders. I'm a swing trader. Right? So we want to look for, does it make sense that it could come right back down to here? Absolutely. If a ton of money leaves the market, it's going to stop here first. And it's going to probably stop here second.
In that scenario, would you buy and then buy again? Or would
Yeah,
you
that'd be,
panic? What point would you panic?
yeah, like, well, I'd be at that scenario. Yeah, I would be stop loss down.
Right.
And like I said, I was damn close a big chunk of the day today. And that is where mentioned earlier in the show. It's, I gotta work on where am I looking at these support and resistance, but we're seeing these massive wicks. So when we have these double digit down days, it's the stinger of when you're in the market, because now you got to wait, recover it, and you're back in. All in all, still up overall. Can't complain. But it's never fun. Looking like stabilization, and we can see we're starting to cook through, and we're going to hold that probably resistance there that we're talking on the other chart. All right, lots of
Cool, cool, cool. Got it. Thanks.
running on. And yeah, like nothing to hide. These were two entries I had on EOS, and dollar cost entry in, yeah, down a bit right now, just like we were saying. Let's look at this on the daily. Same thing. This might get into a micro bear. And if this pulls into a micro bear, we're coming down to these levels. And this is great entry for a coin that's still walking towards our target. Like, let's keep this real. It's a one red candle.
Definitely puts it in perspective when you pull it back like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Green, 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 red. Maybe a little red, maybe a tiny sliver green, maybe even a pull down possibly to test. That could be a feasible situation. Doable 100% if more money leaves. Probably not, because we would be stopping here. Four-hour. Entry is all down here. Entry by Bollinger, very little spread. Looking like it wants to curl and hold this daily, what are we on, 4-hour? This 4-hour support right where it's at. Look at that. Look at all that support.
It's a hardy support level.
Totally. So this is healthy. This is nice to see. It's 5%. Just that tiny little bit. So our goal is still lofty on the long run with this. If you're looking for entries, I always say buy red days. We're in red days. You're never going to get a perfect entry. Shit, I'm in the middle of this. Let's mark that now so I don't forget. And then now you apply your strategies. If you have dry powder, if you have cash on hand, and you're in this trade, which you should, because we always say you should, for days like this, dollar cost entering and opportunities, what do? We wait for the belly. We wait till we see that belly. We wait till we see money coming in on the money flow, and then we dollar cost entry again. Right now, don't catch falling knives. This could still go down, and we could be going down to here, and we might get an entry here. Until I see that curl with market flow going back up is when I'm looking for an entry. Here we had consolidation after compression after going up. Yep. We knew compression builds breakouts ups or downs. We're taking the gamble most of the time. It's going up because we're in a bear. Retracement happens. These days happen. It's going to take a few days if you were
I have such a big question.
Fire away.
I'm getting really everything you're saying is making a lot of sense, except now I'm confusing catching falling knives and dollar cost entry, because to me, they look a little bit like the same thing. in what I'm seeing.
They are in one aspect. Dollar cost entry, you want to do once. Catching falling knives is a thing you're doing on panic. Oh, it's going to go. Oh, no shit. Here's another entry. Just following one thing. Panic. It's going to go.
Okay.
Right. No, we want to wait for dollar cost entry to see that either stabilization, consolidation in a new zone. I'm just grabbing this for an
Mhm.
example,
Mhm.
right? Or we want to see it bounce off that bottom and start heading back up. And when it does that, this will start to belly. So if you're taking a significant risk buying at this spot right now,
Mhm.
even though I'm in here, I would be taking a risk to buy right now here because I don't have that confirmation.
Right.
So I want to wait for that confirmation, then re-enter. That confirmation might come here. And if it does, that's still a significant entry with this entry because now my dollar cost entry is here. And if my target is here, there's my 10%. And this is why we always keep money in hand, have dollar cost entries where we think it's going to go, or stink bids, as Supreme calls them, on these lowers, right? So they can be very similar. The dollar cost entry part is more when the downtrend is cooled, it's
Okay.
stabilized. Then you go in again. Don't panic because it's dropping. Run candles. Oh my god, I got a dollar cost entry. I got to buy again. I got to lower my entry.
Mhm.
Don't panic because you're in it. And if this was a
Those are falling knives.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And if things like gross areas like here were my stop loss for EOS. Because look at these wicks, right? But if I put my stop loss for somewhere in here and I was watching, I would have had better entry again. But that's
Mm.
the curse of the wick out. And the stop loss is now I've lost time with my capital and I got to wait for it to regain, which I have faith it will. Or I wait for the consolidation, buy in, lower my entry, and go. And then when I get to, guess what? When it gets to this area, depending on what the micro bull or bear is saying, I'm going to take some profits because it'll probably pull back down before it consolidates, rips off, pulls back to it, or retests. Speaking of pulling back and retesting, Algorand on the weekly, nothing but strength. It did it have pullback? Yeah, it made it all the way up to this weekly line, and now it's hovering just below that daily line. In fact, there's another one right there for support and resistance. That's a lot. A lot. That's 11%. Did that in the last 2.5 days. 2.5 days. Not so bad. Look, 3 reds. Lots of up, 3 green up, a couple of red. We've already had pullback. It went right to that support. Look where it went. Might challenge it again. Looking like that spot I don't like where it might curl. Big picture, great. We're walking on up for here. But we know we're going to have little retracements, little ups and downs. And on the weekly, we're still good. No chicken little. And if you're not in, zoom in, watch, and let's find these. looking like we're getting that belly. What did I say? Go back to ETH on the 15?
Oh, I was just gonna remind you of that. That's amazing. New candle.
There it is.
What's it saying?
Look at where that last candle ended. What did I say? It was going to have difficulty breaking this. So for the next few hours, I'd be watching ETH try to walk up. It's going to have a little pullback. Green, 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 green after all this red. Made it all the way up to there, 5%. In 4 hours. 1% a day, every day, years, 3,700% return. 4 hours, there's 5 in a down trending market at the time. So watching these ebbs and flows is important. And it's telling you it's getting to this line with 70% certainty during compression. As soon as that opens up again like that here, I'm already thinking it's going below this line. This does not mean it was short. It just means it's moving towards this line. When you add the other indicators now, we can go, oh yeah, now we're going into a short situation or a downwards trend. Debated many a times what to write in that box, if it should be downwards or upwards or long or short. I didn't want to confuse people. I don't know if that's worse. But anyways, so that was ETH on the 4. We were on algo, and we were looking for this. And it already looks like it's chilling. You know, had lots of panic last little bit, lots of panic. Now, just chill. Again, always go back to the boss. We know this is going to be some resistance. Let's see how fast. It might just rocket right through it like it did there. Could be another liquidity. Filecoin. My 2 entries hit. Off of that entry that we gave to there, that was 10% in a day. Actually, I think we gave, yeah, here. But still, we gave you your entries here, went up to a 10%. And now that we're in, our dollar cost entry would have been right in the middle of those two. It went all the way down 10%. And it's pulled back at 5. Lots of downward action, a little bit up on the day. This is starting that curl. Are we going to start to curl down? That's all the market trending. It's holding. Look at where it's holding right now. Look where those wicks are. Where the dollar price is. And if we can get to right now where it's at, to where it's probably going to fight resistance again, there's 20%. And that's not our goal. This is a very short-term goal. We knew getting in here that when it hits here, it's probably going to hit resistance. And that we have to get out, retest, land on top before we take off. As we said, if you're in a long-term hold on this, this doesn't bother you. A quick little blip down, you don't time bottoms and tops perfectly. If this starts to go and we get into stop loss territory, well then yeah. Now we've taken a loss. Here we're tying up capital. You haven't lost if you haven't sold, unrealized loss. You haven't won it if you haven't sold, unrealized gain. Let's see how this mellows out. On these smaller time frames. Still gross, but we had lots of movement. Recovery. Not saying This can't go down to this weekly support. Very much can. Very much might. Let's hope not. We got long vision for Filecoin. If it does and it continues, patience. We'll get our entries. Hell yeah. I know I'm a little bit over, said we probably would. Hedera H-bar is a new one I brought to you guys, not a new coin. This coin's been around forever, and I love it. But it was new, I believe, this week. And whoa, that was our target. We're still in this channel. We didn't even come near close to this, but what we did come close to was our 4-hour box. Look at that. Boom, boom, wick, wick, right into it. I don't think we gave entries because we said on the weekly we were waiting for something. We have a micro bearish still with spread. I am not entering right now.
Yeah, that checks out.
This to me still says pain.
You don't even have a fake belly in there.
Right. This is a weekly trend line. Now this is a shorter time frame. Held it for 2 candles. And broke it. Held. You can see how that weekly trend line held for quite a while. Now it's probably going to fight to try to get above it. A little bit, maybe a pullback, a little bit, and then off. Long term, H bar, very much bullish. Short term, if you're not in, I think we might be able to find you a better entry. This could come all the way down. If you want to get to wicks, I mean, they're just running into each other at that point. But the wicks could go all the way down to that. There's no reason they couldn't. I think most of the bodies and price action will stay in between these zones. I normally don't put lines on my tops and bottoms of my consolidation areas because you can just hold the thing over and see the price. But we'll just leave it there now just to have the difference in the 1178 and the 1076. So for Hedera, this on the 4-hour makes me think we're coming into these zones. And you can see on the 4-hour, we were looking for the breakout. And we got it. Damn it. This is not the way we like. So now we wait. Because this is still a great play. Canto. I mean, you got our entry on the show recently here. You're still massively up in profit. It's not even really curling. It's just like, yeah, all right. But look what it did on the daily, right to that weekly support consolidation. I even said, I think when it pulls back down to this weekly and it holds it, there's an entry. Because still very bullish on Canto. We still even haven't got the micro bull and we're still above the weekly support. And what was our target again? Great. Nothing. This is solid. Nice underbelly that we like to look for in trades. Lots of massive, disgusting amounts of up. $123% in 21 days. Little tiny pullback. The sky is not falling. People took some profits. So let's just quickly go back and check. Hey, it's 111. Starting to see that curl. Really wants to hold. Having trouble at 69. Isn't that ironic? Degens. On the lower time frame, you can see critical fear hit. Critical fear hit. Still recovered. And then money came out. Critical fear hit. Now the question is, do we get up and money come back out and we go back to this contesting line? I think we're okay for a bit. We're starting to mellow on different time frames. But always remember, the second it wants to leave, if you don't take profits, they will. Not a lot of spread. Chilling that out. I mean, that's a tough one. It's got 3 hours to go, but yeah. And if we start to move, this is where you have to really look at your stop losses and where everything is at. But I hope if anybody is watching, that has helped answered some of the questions of what's going on in the market. Thanks for your patience. Every now and then we will, just because it's IRL, man. We may do a later show. We're always going to try and keep it coming for you at the 7s. If we can't, we'll let you know beforehand. I'm also a night owl, so sometimes it is nice to do a late show. And things
I'm
like
so glad you said that.
yeah, right.
This is where we come alive.
Yeah, and sometimes same with the trades. So neat to watch. That's everything I had, unless for those that missed it at the beginning, these were the couple of things I was talking
What's the
about.
difference between not panicking and holding and cashing out your percentage while you have it?
If you are slow trading, you don't care about these retracements. You're not selling out. You know they're going to happen. We talk about they're healthy. Right? But also, like we talked about, that should be a big part of your budget. If you want to learn how to get in and out of these retracements and start stacking those percentages, yeah, you left your percentages on the table. You take them, you wait for the pullback, and you buy again in the pullback. And that's why compounding percentages makes you that much more. And it was a tweet from ZSS Becker, if you know him, and he said, if you don't think the altcoin market can pull back at something like 40 to 45% at any given time, you don't know crypto. And we are going to see these pullbacks. And that's why in the game where we're playing long, we don't worry about these pullbacks. If we're playing short term, we want to make sure we miss those 20, 30, 40% pullbacks, and we're taking those profits. So that we talked about on February 24th. So there's a prime example of being in the market on the short terms and capitalizing on using your tools, your indicators, what's going on, taking your profits and finding nice positions to get back in on. If you were stop lossed out, or if you did take profits, I'm still a little hesitant to say we're at a calm storm. I'd be waiting for another few more candles to better secure capital. You might not get the best bottom entry before it rockets off again. But here's about, in these times, preservation of capital, but also your nerves. So if you are short-term trading, be careful. If you're long-term trading, none of this matters in any way, shape, or form. It's just another day in the markets. So with that, thanks for tuning in. It's a little longer than normal, but I figured we should because of the market situation. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m. PST for the Daily Fix. Miss Crypto Katie, do you have anything else you would like to ask or add?
Oh, there's always more stuff to ask, but thanks, man. That was awesome. I learned a lot. I didn't add a lot tonight, but yeah, we got into some stuff that just really solidified a lot of things for me, and hopefully it does for other people. So thanks for doing that. Are we gonna do the regular time tomorrow, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, there should be no problem with the regular time tomorrow. So same bad time, same bad channel. And
No, this is especially not financial advice. A fucking course.
absolutely. Good night, GM. Good morning, wherever you are. That's it for us.
Later, Gators. Bye, Pope.
Have a good night, eh?